Oh, well, we had our glasses on last time as well, didn't we? Our sunglasses, because it was such a beautiful day.
I did wonder whether to wear the sunglasses in the...
Well, I've got 2 pairs in the car, so if if the sun comes out, then I've got a pair for both of us.
I think you're pretty safe. I would say you're pretty safe on
probably. You'd have to wear a pair of Kellys.
Oh,
but
yeah, like Dame Edna Everett.
I think they'd suit you. So you just got back this morning, last night, didn't you?
Last night from Naples. Naples open for 4 days. It was we had the World's Pro Ballroom, the World Amateur Latin, the European Under 16 and Under 14 Latin. So it was a
busy one.
I was the chairman.
Were you?
Yes.
Do you like? I mean, judging. I mean, do you like judging?
No. Next question.
So no. That's even worse than if you're the chairman of adjudicators.
Actually, because
or is that even easier?
Sometimes when I'm judging, I mean, there are sometimes when you judge an event and you think, yeah, I come off the floor and think, yeah, I think I did a good job.
Yeah, I'm going to go in and go around.
Yeah, I did all right with that. And other times I come off the floor and think, yeah, another 5 seconds I could have done it the other way round. And did I do the right thing, or did I consider? Yeah.
Is that not though? Is judging not the snapshot though? Is it not? It's when you look at them, isn't it? But so if you had that extra time,
and I think
is it not when you look at them anyway?
Well, yes, but there are all other things, aren't there? When you know so much about so many of them. So I mean, anybody that says that isn't in their brain when they're judging, I would say is that you can't possibly shut out all that information.
Right.
You know, so you have this, like, yeah, the 5 seconds you've got watching them, and then there's this other video playing at the back of your head, like the dog's just died this morning, and oh, I feel sorry for them, and they've got no money, and anything that could be those kind of things too. I mean,
so you think that
it's a real responsibility, I think.
So you think that can you do it cold though? Do you think you can switch off to that and just judge the dancing that's in front of you, or whether or not that you think that actually they're a really nice couple, they're really genuine and lovely, and that couple there, they're horrible. Yeah, they're complete arses. But they're better.
I've never thought that about anybody.
Have you not?
Never. No.
I have.
Yeah, no, I'm lying. Yeah, I mean, that's what I say. You can't know something about somebody and that isn't in your head. I mean, you do your best to do it based only on the dancing. Of course you do. That's what you're out there to do. That's the job you're paid to do. But I mean, you can't ignore that there's this thing in the back of your head, and these are charming people. They always come into the studio. They're bright. I mean, you can't not ignore that. I mean, everything everybody does colours your judgment. It's just human nature, isn't it? I mean, you do your best, and you know.
Would you advise a couple then to have a cheery disposition?
Oh, hell yes.
All their peers and professionals, yeah.
Yeah, because that's part of your PR as a competitor, isn't it? I mean, you, of course, we always would say that the dancing is going to come out in the end. But there's all these things you can do along the way, like be pleasant, be open, be polite, have pleasant exchanges with people, say hello when they come into the studio. I mean, I remember years ago I had what turned out to be a very tall couple, but when they first came to England, they used to come to the studio and they'd sit on the seat just inside the door, head down, probably the phone aspect, but even in that time. And then somebody would come into the studio, like a Denise Weaver's, and good morning, and they'd say nothing. Right. And I'd say, you just missed an opportunity there, didn't you? For her to notice you, or whoever to notice you, and that you look nice, that you dressed well. I mean, all those kind of things. I think, don't turn up looking shabby all the time. Yeah. Look well. I mean, it's not that you've got to wear anything expensive, but come like you care. Yeah. Because you judge people based on all those things, don't you? That they do care, they don't care. They're clean, they're dirty, they've got a happy disposition, they look as miserable as sin. I mean, yeah. Somebody walks through the door, you do the 5 second scan, and when you meet them, you could possibly get a completely different view of that. But that's what you do initially, and as a judge, of course, you do the same thing. And they're wandering around the floor, pulling their knickers down. I mean,
And that's just the fellas.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of things like, oh, do you really do that? The girls come on the floor. They've spent thousands of pounds on a dress, and they don't cut the straps off their shoes.
Oh,
You know,
well,
like
yeah. Attention to
picking
detail.
up Radio Luxembourg or something.
Yes.
Oh. Ugh.
So, as part of your coaching, then, do you talk to couples about their PR and their marketing? Because it's important, really, isn't it, that you know you can work beautifully on your back basics and your rumble walks, but if you don't sell yourself properly in the right places, then people aren't necessarily going to notice it and think, as you say, a nice person, you know, cheery disposition, all that.
I would definitely, any couple that I'm involved with, I would definitely, I mean, if I look at them and think, okay, we need a bit of an advisory session here, not just the rumble walk here. But that is the problem with a little bit of today's dancing, where people don't have a coach, so you don't know if that's your response. I mean, I use the Alan and Hazel's thing now. I don't have couples, I just teach other people's.
Right.
So I mean, you know, in the past, when I was involved heavily with a lot of couples, then okay, then I thought there was my responsibility, like look smart, be polite, do this, don't do that. I think, I mean, if the senior people in the profession don't pass down that information, how do you know?
Yeah.
These are the comps you should be doing.
I never felt I had that either, and I don't. I was craving for it. And I think as a dancer, perhaps I should have asked for it from someone. Do you think some couples are afraid to ask because they don't?
I don't think
want to be a burden and all that sort of thing. But I mean, I with hindsight, I should have asked one of my coaches or my teachers, can you coach me? Can you tell me what I've got to do?
I suppose, but then if a couple have a coach, you would presume that coach would then take on the mantle.
But sometimes
Discuss
as
those
dancing,
things.
how do you know if the person you're going to is a coach or just a teacher?
Well, because then you would, like in the past, couples or the parents of the couples would say, okay, would you look after them? Or will you look after us? Would you guide us? Will you send us along the right path? Tell us when we've screwed up?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when I was competing in the end as a professional, Lynn Harmon was my coach. I had lessons with other people, but Lynn Harmon was the person I went to, and we discussed, should I wear that, should I not wear that? And we didn't always agree. I mean, I'd say, well, I think you do this, and we'd talk about it, and I think, actually, I'm going to do that. But then it's up to you, you know, you either are right or wrong, and you pay the price, or you get the prize, or whatever. But you've had a whole discussion about it, and I think a lot of the younger couples, they think they know everything.
Yeah.
They think
so that's something you notice as well, that with them, they come in and they think they're 22 and they know everything.
Yeah, they think they're going to reinvent the wheel. If you like say something like that, I think we tried all that.
Yeah.
If there was a shortcut, one of us would have found it by now. Yeah. I don't think you're going to find it either, because there isn't one. It's hard work.
Did you enjoy your competitive days? Because I know you retired relatively young, didn't you?
Yeah, reasonably. I mean, well, I had 2 retirements really.
Yeah.
I stopped once for 5 years, and I came back and danced again for another couple of years. So but I had 2 goes at it. But no, I really enjoyed competing. But I kind of always knew that the teaching was going to be my thing.
Was that because the results weren't quite your thing?
I don't know. I was a very successful junior, reasonably successful youth, very checkered amateur, and a reasonably successful professional. So, I mean, everybody thinks that they would like to. Well, of course, I would like to have done better. I didn't win the world championship, so of course I would like to have done that, and didn't. And not close, but anyway. But,
that was your coach's fault.
Yeah, I blame Lynn.
Yeah, it's coach's fault.
Like Lynn, I blame. She didn't send me in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
I enjoyed competing. I like the challenge of trying to get people. Actually, I don't know if it was so much the competing, but in a competition, there's a number of people on the floor. Therefore, to get the audience to come to you is more of a challenge. When I danced with Cara, she loved the shows.
Right.
Me, I enjoyed the shows. I mean, they were nice, but to me, you know, they've paid their 20 quid to watch whoever it is, so they're going to watch you anyway, unless they just throw something. But yeah. So to me, it was, I go there, I do the job, I get paid, I leave, and I do the best job I can, of course. But competing was a bit more of a challenge to me. I like challenges.
Yeah. Are you quite a competitive character, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What do you see? I want to come back to competitive stuff, but what do you see then as your challenge now then? Because obviously, when you're many professionals have this problem, don't they? When they finish competing, they suddenly realise there's not a lot left.
Yeah,
so what are they competing with? And then they begin to compete against their fellow professionals around the comp floor with either the number of people they teach, or the level of the people they teach, or the dresses that they wear, or the fancy shoes that they wear. I'm sure. Yeah. Well, not that it's public.
Not public.
Not public.
And they still have to kill me.
So what do you do then? What challenges you now then? In the same way, perhaps in a similar way?
I mean, I've been very lucky. I mean, there's no doubt about the fact that I've had a lot of right place, right time situations, I guess, in the sort of latter half of my career. So, I got to judge big competitions, Blackpool, international, etc. I've been lucky to be involved with world professional champions, etc. So, kind of once you've done that, it's just like everything. The closer you are to something, the less in awe of it you are, because it's now you've been there. But still, the challenge for me is taking any dancer and getting them to be in love with it, getting them to a better level. Whether I know a pro-am lady that just learns to dance with her legs straight, I mean, or somebody getting them into the final of an amateur or professional championship, or getting them to understand that there's a better way of doing it than the way you're doing it at the moment.
Yeah. I
mean, I guess it's a much lower level but more important challenge now.
Right. Okay. Would you teach anyone as well? You're not fussy. You take anyone on?
No, God, no. Funny enough, I had one of my own professional couples yesterday asked me, would I take this pre-champ couple? Why? Well, because like some people won't do that. And I said, oh no, me. I guess because of my background, when I started teaching, I taught anything and anybody.
Right.
And I think when you've come from that situation, you never really grow out of it. Are you good enough?
Well, a teacher's job though is to pass on knowledge and information, isn't it? It doesn't really matter who the recipient is, as long as they want to learn. Yeah. Because you can be inspired by someone who can't really do it but wants to learn and is trying their best to do it.
Well, yeah, and you learn. I mean, every day's a school day, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, now a couple will say, or the boy or the girl will say something, you think, oh, I never thought of it like that before. That's another. Put that on the books. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah. You don't give them credit though for that the next lesson, do you?
Hell no.
No, of course.
Let's sell it off as man.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. So you were relatively, as you say, you were good as a junior and a youth.
I never danced as a juvenile.
Never done juvenile. Sketchy amateur, and
very.
You made runner-up, didn't you, at the Rising Star?
Yeah.
For the Pro Latin.
Yeah, that was my place.
Yeah. Runner-up.
Yeah.
Bridesmaid.
UK. International.
Yeah. In both, international. All of them.
In fact, I think I was third at the International Rising Star, but anyway.
Right. Okay.
Must have been dodgy judges that day.
So you are thought of though as at the top table, aren't you? Because if you're at any event or any comp, you are always there with everyone that's got multiple world titles, multiple British Open titles and international titles. So you are the poster boy for the underachiever, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. That's why when you've come from that kind of a background, I sit sometimes. A couple of times when I've judged Blackpool, and I look around the table thinking, actually, what am I doing here? Why am I here? This seems odd.
But why do you think it is? Do you think it's because of your integrity and the respect people have for you as a teacher and as a person that's put you in that position?
I would like to think so. I mean, I hope so. I mean, it's difficult, and it's difficult when you say that about yourself, isn't it? But when I knew I was going to be a teacher, that was always going to be my love of dance, to try to infect other people with my love of it. And I think that's what I do. I think that's why I've been successful. I studied hard. I learned from the best. In my early days, and I had lessons with Pamela McGill, and you know, Jeffrey Clapham, her partner, was my main teacher. As he was the teacher of like Matthew Cutler, Cara, Richard Porter, those kind of people. I mean, he was an amazing man. So in my very early competitive days, I learned good dancing and ethics, and my ballroom teachers, Keith and Christine Burton, I mean, you know, were professional ballroom semi-finalists, and so even when I learned the technique for my professional exams, I mean, I was a year learn, and my associate ballroom was my first qualification with I did it with Christine Burton. I mean, I could have passed that exam 9 times over. There wasn't anything I didn't know.
Right.
And more than just knowing it, I knew why it was like that. And then later on, I had like Yvonne Taylor-Hill, and then Elizabeth Romaine, and you know, I learned from the best. I learned why things were like that, and what the rule is, not like what page it was written on. So I was very lucky, and for me, it was important when I was dancing. My goal was always to be the best dancer, not necessarily the champion.
Right.
Of course, which I achieved in my view. Because I never became champion, but I was clearly the best dancer.
Of course.
Just nobody noticed.
But
you know?
so then you were more focused on the journey and the process rather than the result at the end, perhaps.
I mean, not saying that. I mean, if I'd have won a world championship, I wouldn't have given it back, clearly. But yeah, and I think that's what my couples, or the couples I'm involved with, that's what I try to instill in them. Like, you know, be the best version of yourself. And if by virtue of doing that, that's what will bring you titles. If you try and, like, I mean, I love that expression, you know, if you follow directly in the tracks of the train in front of you, you can't pass it. So you've got to find
That's a good one. I like
your
that.
way. It's clever.
Did you get it off an amateur couple?
No, no, this is when I stole off one of those calendar things.
Yeah.
I love those. I mean, those kind of quotes I love. I love all that. But, you know, I think that's so important. I mean, you have to do the same as everybody else. You have to learn the technique and why. And I think it was important for me. Whenever a teacher said I had to do something, I always asked why I had to do it.
I did.
Not that I disbelieved them. But, you know, but explain that to me. Why is that important that it's like that? Why do I have to break the turn down in 2 pieces? Why can't I do it all in one go?
People used to get annoyed with me for that.
Well, exactly. But then and
they thought I was questioning them. I'm not questioning.
Exactly.
I want more knowledge. I want to know exactly. I want to know the ins and outs of it all. But I need to understand. I
think that's an important thing. I might oversay to the dance I'm involved with. You know, you select. I mean, you have lessons with who you like, but if you want to go down that road of, you know, sucking the life out of them knowledge, I mean, not everybody appreciates it. Some people just want to say it's like this, do it. You know, there are, I mean, you know, great dancers like Lorna Lee, Hazel Fletcher, Lynn, of course. A lot of the women, funnily enough, are kind of much more open to. I mean, in between the time I was dancing, I used to go for lessons, like a solo lesson with Hazel or Lorna, actually before I was involved with it. And I mean, it was great. You know, it was like of course they were senior to me, but it was almost, I felt like we had an information exchange. I'd like to think that maybe they learned something from the way I was thinking about things as much as I was getting information from them.
Well, as you said, every day's a school day. You do learn from the people you teach. Because that's the best way to learn. Because you can't ever think that you've learned everything.
Well, the minute you think you know it all, it's the time to get out. I've always said that.
If I ever think,
if I ever think,
hanging about.
Exactly. If I ever thought I knew everything about everything, I know that's time to go. Time to take up flower arranging.
Something that I think is true is that those people that, let's say, they compete to their late 30s, 40s, and they're dedicated to themselves, and they're focusing on what they're doing, they haven't got the time necessarily to go into as much detail with the technical stuff as you did, to study the book, to completely understand exactly why. So sometimes they don't always become the best of teachers because they haven't really studied exactly what they're doing. They're just doing it because they're so naturally talented and gifted.
Well, there is always that side of it, isn't there?
I mean, they might train and perfect what they're doing, but they're doing it for themselves. They don't necessarily understand all the idiosyncrasies.
But sometimes those kind of people have to go backwards at some stage, don't they? They have to, they've got like a natural God-given talent, you know, musicality or rhythm or something. the type of which you can't teach. They either have it or they don't. But sometimes you have to take them backwards to say, okay, we're gonna have to just shelve that for a minute because you need to know this.
Yeah.
Because eventually, talent has a limited, not shelf life, but there's a limit. I mean, once you can shake everything, I mean, there's nowhere to go, is there?
Yeah.
You can't shake it faster or stronger, or I mean, you can just shake it.
Yeah.
So you need to then have a backup to things, and actually, by having a better base to it, you can highlight your skill better. I think that's probably a better way to look at it.
Well, foundations are always important, aren't
Exactly.
they? And I think when you come to teaching it, you might get that smart ass that wants to ask all the questions. You don't want to get irate with them. You want to be able to answer the question properly, don't you? Say, this is why. It's not just a case of do as I say. It's, I want you to do this because of this.
Yeah.
Don't just do it as I did it. Do it because this is the reason why we do it.
Well, that is the point with the asking. I mean, some teachers are excellent at that kind of thing. Liz Romaine taught me that. If somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, tell them you don't know the answer. But I'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll ask somebody that does, and I'll get back to you. Because I think that's, how could you possibly know the answer to everything? I mean, some people purport that they do, don't they? And it's, how can you know the answer to everything?
Anne Lingard was my trainer for my technicals, and she was exactly the same. She said the same thing.
Absolutely. She was one of that generation, wasn't she?
Still going.
Yeah.
Still doing it.
Still doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Bonkers. Nearly 90. Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I first went on to the Imperial, because I mean, I did all that very young, went on to the Imperial Latin faculty, because Liz asked me to do it. And we used to go down to the Imperial Congress, in Summer Congress at Worthing. And there used to be a group of the senior examiners. So there would be Anne Lingard, Elizabeth Romaine, Gordon Little, Maisie Harrison, and there was like then what would have been then the young ones, Pat Good, Yvonne Taylor Hill, and they would have this competition to see who could find something in the technique that the others wouldn't know.
Right.
I mean, it was just to sit and listen to that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was fascinating. And their way of dealing with the technique, I mean, it was one of my claims to fame. But, you know, I asked them a question once they couldn't answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was so happy.
What was it? Do you remember the question?
Yeah, I do.
What was it?
Well, it wasn't a question. It was like, did you realise that when you dance a natural or a reverse roll, your body goes in the same direction, whichever one you dance? You gotta think about that. Don't do that while you're driving.
No.
Don't press it. But your body goes in the same roll direction. Back, right, forward, left. And if you do a reverse roll or natural roll, your body turns in the same direction both ways.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Yes, it does.
Right. That was my. They were like, what?
It's busily scribbling it down.
Yeah.
He's writing in the book.
That was my claim to fame, one way of it.
Do you enjoy the committee stuff that you do? Because you're involved in the BDF and the ISTD, aren't you?
Yeah, WDO.
And WDO now, yeah.
I like organisation, I suppose. So I was secretary on the BDF for 12 years. And yeah, I mean, sometimes the trouble with all those kind of things is the majority of the work comes at the same time as the majority of the teaching work during a year before the big competitions, because the events that BDF run are generally connected to them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it used to get really stressful sometimes of having so many things. And if it was a congress year, like we have the International Congress every second year at Blackpool, I mean, that was a nightmare, getting all the lecturers and the hall, and when you're secretary and you know the couples don't reply, you have to write again. Yeah. So yeah, but I am in a sicko kind of way. I guess I enjoyed it.
Do you think, does that something? Does it feel a bit of a void for you? Because
not really,
because you've got your dancing, and I know you've got your family, but then you haven't got anything else, have you? So you've got your own.
You make me
family.
sound like a real sad person.
No, I mean you've made it. You're dedicated to the dance, which is marvelous. A little bit. So you're dedicated to your profession to a degree, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess that's something. If I went back, that's something I would manage differently, I guess.
So you you perhaps would have. What do you mean by that? How would you manage it differently? So you'd have more
because I was. I mean, that word is true. I mean, I was married to my dancing, and that was all I was going to do. When I was competing, I only competed. I wasn't, and I lived not in London when I was young. So I lived in Hemel Hempstead with my parents, and then so to get into London was a schlep, you know, to get there and do things. So I kind of, and I've never really been a nightclubber. I remember.
That's not true because I've seen you.
Well, yeah. Even this weekend, apparently, I was leading them in this Mariah Carey dance at the end of the film. But anyway, I've become famous for that kind of thing too now, but a few years too late. But I remember Jeffrey Clapham was my teacher. He took us. Richard Porter, it was our 21st, was it 18th or 21st, I can't remember that generation. And there was a whole group of us, and we went to the Hippodrome in London, which at the time was state of the art, you know. It's like the ceiling used to come down with the laser display and all that kind of thing.
I was going to say, they even used CDs, I thought.
Yeah.
So
they still were winding it up, I think. But yeah, so it was kind of state of the art. But you know, to talk to somebody, you have to have your mouth in their ear, and then you turn around and they have their mouth in your ear. So otherwise, you can't hear anything. And my ears were whistling for 3 days afterwards.
Right.
And I couldn't understand why, and I still can't understand why people would go and do that for pleasure.
Yeah.
So that put me right off.
Right. There's people that do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, perhaps every week, isn't there? It's never. Well, it appealed to me when I was a bit younger, but only for girls, basically. I think that was the only reason.
The only way you could go out and
get it. But I haven't been to a nightclub in, I can't remember the last time. Years and years and years and years, at least probably 20 years.
I love salsa clubs. I mean, I don't go do very often, but I love salsa clubs.
That's because it's dancing though, isn't it? People go out to dance, don't they?
But you know, but that's the difference, isn't it? When you go to a salsa club, and there was one time when we were amateurs, so we were at the Assembly practicing, we decided, a whole load of us, we were going to go. There used to be a very famous salsa club in Brixton. So we decided we were going to go. Right. I don't know how many of us, but there were quite a lot of us. So we go there, and we walk in, and we were nearly all white, and people in there were nearly all black. Right. And for a moment, it was terrifying. I mean, because they were clearly looking at us like,
what are they doing here?
What are they doing? Yeah. So then we started to dance a little bit, and then one of the black men came and asked one of our girls to dance. And of course, then he was in heaven, wasn't he? Because he's dancing with this girl who can actually really follow him. Yeah. Who's like, which I guess they were probably of the opinion that white girls can't dance. Really. And then, bit by bit, you know, we would go and ask their, and in the end, we had the best night. It was just amazing, and they were, you know, the guys were buying us drinks, and it was just magical. You could see there was a bit of a standoff at the beginning, and then it was like, oh, actually, these people are alright. They've come to dance, because that's what they do. You know, they go and dance. There is no issue. They just dance. Same when you go to, like, I've been to Cuba a few times. I mean, you know, these people just go and dance. So they'll get up and dance between two tables that are half a metre apart. And it's like, because the music playing, that's what you do. Yeah. But that's where it all came from, isn't it? The Latin that we do now pretty much all came from Cuba. That's what always fascinates me. You look at competitions. I did a lecture this weekend at the Naples Open, and I was talking about samba rhythms, and I put the music on for them to dance to, and like half of them stood still while the music was playing, while they were waiting for me to count them in. Right. Okay. So I took the music off again. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't you get it? Like, the music's playing, so let the music in, and let's see where you are, and then we'll put the step in underneath it. And they're just stand there watching you, and that's almost like the sad part of a competitor to me. And there is quite a lot of that. Do you think they're waiting to be told what to do, though? Yeah, but how could you? Yes, which is fine. Yeah. So that's I'm okay with that. But how can you listen to that kind of rhythmical music and stand still? Or a foxtrot, or well, you got something. There's something going on inside you, isn't there? You want to express yourself. I mean, but you, shyness, perhaps. You know, shyness. Perhaps some people are just afraid, or just not very good. Just cloth in their ears. Or just, okay.
not listening.
Or feeling, I don't know, maybe the other way, that they look like they're not paying attention if they're not standing still.
Right.
That would be a little bit how the East European thing, wouldn't it? I mean, that's I always remember teaching in East Europe and watching some of those juveniles dancing with absolute poker faces.
Yeah.
You'd say to the teachers, well, you know, because smiling is a sign of weakness.
Right.
Oh, really?
Right, okay.
Serious?
Well, that's cultural, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah. You've obviously taught in China as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I just came back from there a couple of weeks ago.
I've taught in China, and they have a real trouble doing anything improvised, that I've found, because they have to wait, because very much culturally there, they are, you do this is what you do.
Well, I think also in China you have a slightly different problem, because they learn in huge groups.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's got better. But I remember going once to, I don't know which part of China now, but okay, we're going to pick you up. We're going to the academy. So they all have academies, and so I walk up the stairs, and it was like I don't know, the King of England. I walked in, and there was an archway that I had to walk through. There must have been 400 children, all dressed in exactly the same outfit, all of them between 12 and 16 or something, I guess. And then, okay, so if you just watch them dance a bit, and then you can do what you like. Okay, good. So it was like a display of the red arrows. So like 20 of them would rumble walk from the side, and then do a natural whatever they did, and then the next 20 would come from the other. So by the time we'd actually done everything of my 45-minute lecture, I had about 15 minutes left.
Right.
It was the weirdest thing. Yeah.
It is a bit strange out there. Well, I had a similar experience. I had the experience of, I worked in a boarding school, and I was there for a while, and they were the young classes. I did them in classes, the educational classes, so to speak. The younger ones, they were fascinated with my skin and my hair, and obviously my stubble. They just were fascinated, touching my hair and things like that, which I thought was really sweet. And they were really talented little dancers, but very difficult to get them to do anything outside of the structure. Yeah. So you say, we're going to do an open and twisted fan, hockey stick ending into, I don't know, underarm turns of New York's. Okay, now take that, now turn that into something a little bit different. Now show me a little difference in timing. Show me a slightly different ending, and they couldn't do it. They can't improve. Well, they couldn't at the time. These kids that I was dealing with.
I think all those things that have changed, because it was a bit like when Russia first joined the scene, wasn't it? I mean, they learn everything from videos. So they take whoever the champions were at the time, and they do what they thought they were seeing. So then when you went there to teach them, you had to re-teach them the same thing, because they were doing it this way because that's what it looked like when they saw Alan Fletcher do that on the video. And now you have to do it. I'm like, actually, that's not what he's doing. That's how it looks, but to get that, he's doing this. So I think things have got better. But I mean, you know, it's just sheer weight of numbers. I mean, they can't. I mean, most of those kids don't have one-to-one lessons.
Well, they can't afford it, probably, as well.
Well, there just isn't the time.
Well, you're right. It's just not the...
Even in their academy, I mean, they're all involved in academies. I mean, even in the academy, there isn't really. They couldn't possibly give them private lessons. So only when they get to a certain level do they get that opportunity.
So you say about numbers in those countries. I think they've got vast numbers of dancers. How do we get our numbers up in this country? Because our numbers are dwindling, aren't they? They're still going. They're not getting any better.
I'm not so sure, actually, now. No, because there were definitely at the nationals. Now there were more in certain categories. I mean, I always remember Lorna saying to me, you know, in their time, when you turn pro or you retire, definitely, people opened schools. So the senior professionals had a school. So if you go back all those years, then to where was the Sid Perkins? You know, Sid Perkins is where from the Stoke-on-Trent. I mean, John Wood, Julie Sol, all those people came out of those kind of schools because they were champions in their local area, and that's how it worked. And then you got to that phase when people didn't do that and they just wanted to teach competitors. That's where the whole disaster started. I mean, when I turned pro, I taught for Electrolux 3 years.
But you got a great vacuum cleaner out of it, though, didn't you?
So I never got nothing.
Nothing, really?
Not even a dust bag.
Really?
Nothing.
Oh, not even a discount.
No.
Outrageous.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. I should go back and claim it, actually.
Yeah.
See if I can work for Dyson and develop it.
But would you, I mean, I know you said earlier that if you had your time again, you might have done things slightly differently. Would you have wanted to open a school, though?
Well, I was involved in a school, so I was.
Right, okay.
I worked in Keith and Christine's school.
Right. Okay.
And then I was doing that, and I taught classes there, and then I did Electrolux like twice a week. In the
Oh, that's why you didn't get a discount, because if you'd worked 3 days a week,
I was
you'd have benefited.
Never told me that.
Yeah, 3 days a week.
That's where I went wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, those learning. I mean, the Electrolux was like adult social people. I mean, what you learn from them is incredible. Incredible.
I think everyone should do it. I think everyone should. I mean, that's how I did it as well.
Exactly. But
I came
that's
from a
the
school.
trouble, isn't it? People don't want to do that. And then we had this another generation, part of your generation really, where Bellinger, Alex and Lisa, yourself, Warren and Christy, Warren Bullock. I mean, all these people plus a whole lot more have started, have schools now. So they're producing a lot of children. I mean, without the children, you've got no adults.
No, of course.
I mean, so I think we're kind of in a better place now because of those people, really.
Right.
I mean, it is important. But then, if every competitor wants to teach competitors, they've got to be sourced from somewhere.
True. Yeah. Whose responsibility do you think it is then to populate dancing? Is it the teachers, or is it from a higher body? Is it from a higher power? Man and a woman. Yeah. Well, that's a different thing altogether.
That's how it starts, but I guess we don't want to talk about that. No,
yeah. Well, we can. I don't mind.
No,
I'm happy to talk about that. No, it's not. Okay. No, whose responsibility is it to populate the dance world? Where does it come from? Is it the dancers themselves to go ahead and take responsibility, or should the governing body be in charge of trying to help that and make it happen?
I guess a lot of it's common sense, isn't it? Well, clearly there hasn't been a lot of that.
Well,
and lots of quarters, but I mean, but again, I remember Lorna saying, when they had the school, top of the stairs in Streatham, when they ran social classes that were run by Yvonne Saunders.
Yep.
And when the dancers got to a certain level, you actually didn't want them in the classes because the others were uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
So then they moved them into competitor game, which is kind of what happened to me in the school I was in. I did all my medals. I was like, our school was an IDTA school. And I did all medals, and then we started we had a competition in the studio once a month. And I got the best dancers in the world came to do DEMs and things in those days. And then we did like medalist, a type of medalist competition, not the way it is today, but and that's how I got involved in competition. But I think that's kind of what's happening now a bit. So that's going to take years to work properly.
So you're saying then it's the initiative of the dancers themselves. Think, right, we're going to do something about this. You get on with it, and you don't think there should be anyone top down saying, right, we're going to put this plan in place to encourage people to do it.
But you can't say to like a retiring competitor, okay, you can't just teach competitors, you're going to have to open a school. I mean, that's really what you'd have to say, and that's moving back to communism, wouldn't we say? In a sense. So that's why it has to be common sense.
But I know it's difficult because obviously we had a premises, we had a studio, and we enjoyed actually having that, but it's a vast expense.
Oh yeah,
it's so expensive to do that, and then there's no guarantee, of course, that you're going to get people coming in.
No.
And then it gets quite disheartening, and then it becomes difficult. And then what we've done now, we didn't get rid of it out of choice; it was taken from us. That's a different story. This interview's not about me though. So we've got another one. We only do adults now. We don't do any kids at all. So we just do adult classes and things like that. And and medals.
That's a mortgage studio kind of thing, isn't
What, it pays my mortgage?
it? Yeah.
Yeah. Although unfortunately we don't have the premises. The premises isn't ours.
Yeah.
So we just go in,
Difficult.
use the hours. Well, it's difficult in one respect, but easier in another because we have no responsibility.
Yeah.
We just go in, use it when we need to, and then we leave. Whereas before, you know, we had break-ins and that sort of thing. And at the time, my niece lived above because it had a flat above. My niece lived there, and then she'd phone up middle of the night, the alarm's going off, and so you had to go down there, and someone had forced entry into the back door, and then the alarm had scared them off, thankfully, so they didn't take anything. But there's a lot of responsibility with those things, and all sorts of licenses and things you've got to be doing. And
Well, I guess there's no different to anybody running a corner shop, is it? I mean, a news agents or a lighting shop or a restaurant.
But sometimes a corner shop is a bit of a necessity to a certain degree, isn't it? People do need to get their provisions and that sort of thing. Whereas dancing is a luxury item. And I know that it shouldn't be. I think everyone should move. Everyone should move, and everyone should do some form of dance because it's tremendous for you, physically.
But they
and
do
mentally.
also say, though, don't know that even in a recession, people will find the money for the luxury items.
True. And dancing is a relatively cheap luxury item.
Because it's a distraction, isn't it? It's a distraction from the crap of the day. I'm going to go and do my foxtrot class tonight, and that's like I can forget everything and just float around the floor for an hour.
I don't think that's probably why we don't do so well, because they come in and it's just more stress with the lesson for me.
I'm sure that's not true.
No, I'm only messing about.
No, but I think they're that generation of professionals, and I just hope the next generation will do the same, because it needs to be perpetuated.
Now the next generation, a little bit of mine, but most of the next one have got the pro-am aspect, which really I didn't have as I was as a competing pro. It was still in its infancy around the world, to a certain degree, apart from America. I didn't have that opportunity at all until I'd retired from competing. Whereas these guys now are funding their dancing with the pro-am. So again, where's that going to go after they've retired?
If you look at that, I mean, I'm talking about from England, of course, but I mean, there's a problem there, isn't there? Because in general, I mean, I know the pro-am scene has changed tremendously, because now, you know, some of those pro-am ladies and men are brilliant. But you know, in general, the pro-am scene is for older ladies, men as well, but in general, it's older ladies that have got time on their hands, and now they can afford to do what they would have liked to have done 30 years ago. But for the professionals, it's limited, because what happens, so then when that one stops to dance for whatever reason, they've got to find another one, and that's not helping to perpetuate the dance business either.
Well, no, because also you can get too dependent on it, and then it comes a time when you're not going to be able to do it. And if you don't look after yourself, it's pretty demanding.
And you know, these are people, not all of them with a lot of money, but I mean, these in general are people with money, and something else comes up that they see as better, they'll just say, actually, sorry, I'm not going to do that anymore. But I mean, it's
why it's important to look after
knife
them when
edge,
you've got them,
isn't it? Yeah.
To make them feel warrant, you know.
But even when you look after them, I mean, there are some. I mean, I teach some pro-am ladies occasionally, but I mean, even if you look after them, that doesn't show that their lifestyle changes, and then they decide, actually, I'm going to go that way now.
Yeah,
so
no, I agree with you.
That was lovely. It was a great pastime. I enjoyed it, but for them, it is only a hobby. Not some of them, not, but it's a career choice too. But it's difficult. So I mean,
that's where our social school works quite well, because this year I've taken on 4 new pro-am students just purely for my social classes.
Oh right.
Because there's always I'm always getting new social dancers in, and one of the ladies I've taken on has only been dancing for 18 months, and she thinks, I'll have a go at that, because she sees what I do with Hillary mostly. You know Hillary, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, my 86-year-old.
Yeah, she's lovely.
Yeah, and so they think, oh, she can do it. I can have a go at that. And so I'm fortunate in that respect, because I've got this constant circle of social dancers coming in, liking it, and think this is lovely. But I don't think necessarily all of those pros have got that opportunity. They just somehow find these ladies from somewhere, and then if those ladies go, then their options are perhaps a little bit limited, because they haven't got anything to fall back on, to back it up with.
But there's also, I mean, the problem within it is, although there are men who are doing it too, it is generally the ladies that get hooked on the dancing thing and then do it. So that only occupies the male half of a partnership.
Yeah, true.
So the girls are kind of left hanging.
Redundant.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's difficult. I know it's difficult.
Well,
But if you think
difficult.
about dancing in general, there's a lot more ladies that want to go and learn to dance
Yes.
than there
Oh,
are
yeah,
men.
absolutely.
For some reason, it's just more socially acceptable for the female of a couple to go out for the night to dance than it
But
is
I
for
think
the man.
that has also, I mean, with the advent of Strictly, I think that perception's changed a lot. Isn't it? I mean, this is like these, you know, our dancers now on Strictly around the world, aren't they? Are stars.
Yes. Yes, true.
You know, there seem to be stars and studs and everything, aren't they? So,
Have you ever been asked to do anything on Strictly? Any
No.
involvement ever?
I did a television program years ago, which was the original Baby Ballroom.
Right.
I was one of the judges on that with Alison.
I thought you were going to say I was one of the original babies.
No, so no. I mean, it was a nice experience, but yeah, no, I've never been asked to do anything since.
I've never seen that show. I've never watched it. I find those things difficult
subsequently,
to
then
watch.
Warren Bullock had a program which they also called Baby Ballroom. Didn't he? He was involved with. I don't know what format that was, but I mean that was where Lloyd Perry first came into.
Was it really?
Yeah, there was a few of them. That's where I first met Lloyd Perry's really through that.
Obviously, he came out of a school as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Very busy, big school in.
Yeah, but I mean, again, that was
Wales.
a generation school, wasn't it? It's
Yes.
come down through the generations.
Yeah.
Well, a bit like Alex and Lisa's, really, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
It was Robert and Linda's school, so they just
And that's
for
where I
them
came
natural.
from, of course.
Warren from Glenn and Lynette's school, so
Yeah.
you know they've continued a legacy, haven't they? But you've got other people like Peter Nash and those kind of people that have got successful schools and around the country.
Yeah. So, are there any couples that that have gone through, been with you, that you regret losing, or are there couples that you wish you had the chance to teach and be involved with throughout your teaching career so far?
I often, I mean, there are two situations there. I often look at a couple and think, oh, I'd love to do a lesson with them, because there's something about them I think is missing, and I'd really like to see whether I could help them with that, whether what I do would make any difference. I mean, that. And then you have couples that you've been with for a long time, and in some cases forever, and then they leave for whatever reason they leave, and that's kind of heartbreaking. I mean, I don't think they'll ever understand until it happens to them on when they're in my position. But you have to do. It's like like the old adage, you have to love like you've never been hurt. I mean, and every time, it hasn't happened that often, but when it happens, I always think, that's it, I'm done now. I'm not giving anymore, I'm not spending time with them, I'm not helping them, I'm not giving, I'm not doing any of that. And within a week,
So is that
doing it.
right? Okay, but is that one of the reasons why now you're not what you'd call a coach? You're more
Not really.
someone that teaches other people's
I think
couples.
Coaching goes with a certain age generation, I think.
Okay.
So I can remember when I was like a young professional, I can imagine now how some of the older professionals would have looked at him and thought, who's this little shit?
Yeah.
Who's like taking my cobbles, or he's being worshipped by these people. And then I went through a phase of, I was very lucky. I mean, I was just, right time, right place, and I had, people like Stephen Sysom and Scott Montague and Christian Bradley, all that. I mean, and they were all
James
kind
Brownson
of James
lessons with you as well.
all those like wonderful names in the past. And I was lucky. I had a lot of people that went on to become champions of amateurs and professionals and people like that. So I was lucky. And of course, like that's when you're teaching a lot of people that are being successful, that brings you more people. I mean, it's just natural.
Do you think it's because you were more relatable to those people? Because you were almost like one of them? You weren't someone in the lofty heights of multiple world champions. You were...
Could be. And I think my way of teaching, and it's still the same now. I mean, I'm 59 going on 17.
Right.
I think it's I mean, I love children. I mean, I've always, and I think you have to teach children with the fun of being children, but with the mindset of them being an adult.
Right.
Because they hate it when you talk down to them. And I've had several occasions where I'm like, okay, well, this is what I want to do. If you don't want to do that, you can leave. It's fine. I'm okay with it. But this is what I want to do. This is why I think you should do this.
Yeah.
No, you make the choice. You decide.
Right.
I mean, it's just. And if I teach children now, I still do exactly the same way. No, I'm no different now. But I think it goes through waves. I mean, there was a time when so many. But I think then there are younger people that take on. I couldn't be going to competitions like I used to every weekend to see how they're getting on, and I mean, I do love going to watch competitions. But
It takes your energy a lot, doesn't it? Actually, people take.
And I think that that next generation is what they are doing and should be doing. I did think when the time came, when my time came to take a bit of a backseat, if you can call what I'm doing a backseat, but I thought I would have a panic attack.
Right.
But actually, it was when I realised that was what was happening. I was like, oh, actually, this is quite good.
Yeah.
Because I can go. I mean, I can teach as much as I want to, but I don't have the responsibility.
I think there needs to be a certain level of respect within our industry, and that the younger pros should look up to the older pros, and the older pros should be respectful of the younger professionals as well, to have faith that they are going to take the baton on, and that a younger professional like myself, I'm only 29, so I'm
Plus tax, at a higher rate.
So I should look to older professionals like yourself for advice, but because I'm very sure that I don't know everything. I'm competent, but I don't know everything, and I know that you know more. So we should have this wonderful dialogue and relationship where.
But that is the problem in general, isn't it? I mean, and I'm sure, as I said, when I was that young professional, particularly as I wasn't, a champion in the sense. I mean, won championships, but I'm sure that a lot of people in the scene are like, well, what do they see in him?
Yeah.
Why are they going there? What rubbish is he teaching them? And I guess through things like when I was lecturing for the Imperial and the way I was lecturing, I mean, I guess that was how, going back to that original question you asked a while ago, I was lucky, when Jill Mackenzie recognised me to judge Junior Blackpool the first time. I mean, no doubt on advice from other people, but wow, it was like, wow. I'm standing on the floor with somebody who's just retired as a champion, and
it only takes that one moment, as you said, being right place, right time.
Yeah,
and things can spiral from that. But then, of course, that showcases your ability as a teacher, doesn't it? And then people think, oh, well, this guy's is great. I learned a lot from you. I learned a lot of what not to do, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, clearly.
Yeah.
And most of them do that.
Which was Latin.
Not doing that.
Not do Latin. I did all right.
But I think it's important when you're, as a teacher, your job is to nurture what's in front of you. And I think there's a lot of I see cases of teachers that want their students to look like them. I think, well, why would you want to do that? I mean, my job is to, what do you need? So of course I'm always talking about feet and legs and body rhythm, because that's my thing. But I wouldn't want to do it to model them in my image, God forbid. But of course.
Well, no, but I think that comes back to ego, doesn't it, to a certain degree? Because once they've finished competing, some professionals, they struggle with the fact that they're not out there competing anymore doing it, so they want to perhaps produce someone that looks like them,
and even dress them like them.
Yeah, and you said it great earlier. You could be the best version of yourself. So that's our job, isn't it? To extrapolate the best out of a couple or a dancer.
That word. It sounds almost dirty, but
sounds medical.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
Also,
bring out the best in them, and make them who they are, but not a version of you. And you're right. Too many teachers do that, and I found that in my career that I was just being someone's, I don't know what the word is really, but they weren't allowing me to be me, stifling me somewhat, and I didn't find that out really until I retired, And then when you stop getting all the information, you realise, actually, I know what I'm doing. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to look like. And you didn't need to be. I mean, you need to be guided, of course, but guided it on my path, not on the path that they took.
It was interesting because recently I had a couple come for a lesson, and I mean, we're talking quite a good couple, so you think that they would have got to that stage themselves, but I clearly hadn't, and had been told by a teacher that, you know, you can't do this. And I said, well, did they tell you why you couldn't do it? No. So did you ask?
No. Right.
So I said, but why can't you do that then? Why would you think you couldn't do that? Because at the end of the day, I said, if you go back through all the generations of great, not necessarily champions, but great dancers, I mean, I can remember Brian saying, somebody said to him, Brian Watson, you know, because his thing was his body rhythm, that, you know, maybe let's not do that so much.
Right.
I mean, you just wouldn't say that,
No.
would you? To
No,
something like,
don't suppress someone's best asset.
there's your ace card. I mean,
Yeah.
what would have been nice was to say, like, on this figure, let's take it out altogether, so that when it comes to the next figure, you look,
Yeah.
you really show it.
Yeah.
Slavics critiquing were always that it was too balletic. I mean, and now I have, if I say to a kid somewhere, who would you like to be? And they talk about Slavic cricket, I'm thinking, no, they weren't even born when Slavic was dancing.
Right.
And you think, how does that? Because that legacy of his dancing just moves on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's because, you know, he dances now, and even with his dodgy hip, he still looks amazing. And Brian, all that calm, and all these great Yuka Sirpa, all these,
They still dance great, don't they?
they did. It wasn't all right, but it was them. You know, as a champion or a great dancer, you got to be different somehow. So if it's all perfectly in line with the other guy, I think that's exactly where you're going to stay, with the other guy.
Yeah, I think that's what's happened in ballroom, personally. That it's all been very much the same. Everyone's tried to be the same. They've tried to be a carbon copy of the champion, because, well, that's winning, so I need to look like that, rather than finding out who they really are and offering something different. If you go back to the mid-90s and to the 2000s, all 6 couples in the pro ballroom final were all different.
Yeah.
They all offered something different, which was so exciting to watch.
Yeah.
And you could have had 6 different champions because they all offered that something slightly different. Whereas now, of course, it's gone a little bit, in my opinion, stayed, and everyone's trying to do the same thing.
Michael and Joanna were probably one of the best examples, weren't they? I mean, they were very out there. I mean, they, you know, when I was taken onto the team, my job was to make it acceptable to the purist, or more acceptable to the purist, whilst not changing what they were doing.
Right.
And I think, so, and I say to couples now, you know, if you have 6 judges that like you and 5 that absolutely hate you, you still win.
Yeah.
But if they all think you're all right, you're going to be 4th or 5th. And, you know, that's
And they're not
exactly
going to pay much attention to you, are they? They're going to be worried about someone else that's drawn their attention.
I mean, that's, you know, to be a star, you have to stand out from the crowd, don't you? I mean, somehow.
I remember a very successful professional couple said to me once that they asked their teacher after the international one year, "How did you think we did? What did you think of our performance?" They said, "I'm really sorry, I didn't watch you," but they'd come 5th. So they'd marked them, but they hadn't watched them because they were too busy watch. They like, get them down, get that done, because that's where they're going to be, and I'm going to focus on the other people.
Yeah, because that's where the battle is.
Yeah, because the other people were offering something different.
Yeah.
There was something to watch and to be aware of. Whereas,
Well, that's
you know,
the point, isn't it? I mean, there are certain elements, I mean, that must be, you have to be in time with the music, although that's not always a great criteria at the minute, but anyway, for me it's still, you have to be in time with the music. Your technique has to be good.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be fantastic, but it has to, I mean, they should be straight in the right places and bent in the right places. Footwork, I mean, certain things for me are, yeah, they have to be that. And beyond that, how much rhythm, how much stretch, how much about line. I mean, Melia is a very good friend of mine. I mean, it's really, when we're together, it's funny. You know, we watch a comp together. If she likes it, I hate it.
Right.
If I like it, she hates it. Because she likes that very dramatic, stretched, committed look. For me, if it's understated, I love it. If it's like subtle and understated, I think it's fantastic.
So you've got to try and find it. Is that what you're trying to say? When it's a bit more understated, you're looking
I mean,
for
it's
it.
like it's a more for me, a more natural form of dance.
Right.
So when it's over the top, and when we're together, it's funny. I mean, it's just funny. And we talk about things. I mean, I totally get what she likes and wants, and I think she gets what I like too. Like, no, no. But I think
that's the beauty of what we do, isn't it? That
that's why you have why you have a minimum of 11 judges on a major title, isn't it?
How long do you give a couple then to get it wrong?
Hey?
If they're on the right journey, you know, when you're dealing with a couple or teaching a couple, how long do you give them? Because if you can say, right, this is what I need you to get to, because how long do you give them to get it wrong before they get it right? Do you understand what I mean by that question?
Well, that depends on the individuals, doesn't it? I mean, you can only, even as if you were the coach of that couple, you can't instruct them to do anything. You can only give them the pieces of the toolkit for them to put together. They've got to put the toolkit together.
So I'm talking about when a couple are developing, you know, when a couple are trying to develop their dancing. And of course it's not going to be right straight away, but it's very easy to go into a lesson. So if you go into a lesson with someone and you're working on something and say, oh, that's all wrong, but they don't know the journey you're on. They don't know where you're trying to go. So how long do you give it? You know, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because many couples get stifled in that respect because they go to too many teachers and they're working with a coach.
The problem, isn't
well,
it?
there's
the problem, isn't it? I mean, and sometimes, I mean, again, everything is at this right time and right place. Some people fall into the teachers they have by luck. I was so lucky with my teachers. I had Jeff, and then he sent me to Mick and Lorna when so I had 3 teachers when I was a junior, and then my 2 ballroom teachers. But you know, now as juniors they've got 20 teachers.
I know. Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, I don't know where they get the money from.
I don't know how they can do
bonkers.
it. I could never have had more than 1 lesson on a day because I needed to. Otherwise, it would just be. I'd only remember what the last one told me.
There's only so much capacity. About 20 minutes or so, isn't it, really?
And then I see them in our studio and they have 1 lesson with this one, and they've got like 5 lessons backed, 45 minutes and back to back with 5 ballroom or Latin teachers. I mean, it's
wow.
I mean, there can't be any other reason to do that other than politics. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's the elephant in the room all the time, isn't it? Really, that people don't want to call out. Really. But is that part of the PR and advertising? Is that not part of the PR and advertising?
For the couple, you mean?
Yeah.
No.
Do you not think so?
Because I think, you know, the couples think that we're all stupid.
Yeah.
And they don't, you know, and as one teacher said to me, you know, if they're stupid enough to pay me the money, I'm stupid enough to take it.
Right, okay.
So, you know, then, and you have respect for, I mean, me personally, I remember Richard Porter used to teach in our studio. So there was one couple that he taught that only had lessons, well, in our studio anyway, they only had lessons with him. And I have the greatest respect for that. Now, he had a choice of, you know, we have Carol, we have Pam, we have David and Denise, we had Michael and Joanna, we had a lot of, you know, good teachers. That he started with Richard, and I don't know who else he had in other studios, but I mean our studio, you know, and I have respect for that. You think, oh, I'd love to work with them because I think I can help them with this, but
but is that not because of who you are though? You had the respect for them because of your values. But do you not think that there'd be other teachers or other coaches that would look at that and think, not having lessons with me, they're coming in every week and I'm not going to bother with them anymore?
I think it's worse. I mean, I'm sure that is true too, but I think it's worse if they come in and they have lessons with 4 out of 5 but not the 5th.
Right. Yeah.
Then I think you think, well, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Well, if they come in and
you're right, that is worse, isn't it? That's a blatant thing.
I mean, you've kind of blacked me.
Yeah.
Deliberately, it looks like. Well, it may not be the case, but it just worked out that way. And I think, and I'm sure you're right. I'm sure people think, well, if they had me, I could make them a champion.
I see lots of people I think, oh, I could definitely help you because you're on the wrong path completely.
Yeah.
But what do you do then as a professional in that respect? Because
that's
I know
not
there
your-
are others that go. I know there are people that go up and say, "Quite, oh, you have a lesson with me, I can help you." And I know people who do that.
Absolutely.
But I've never done that,
Yeah.
and I would feel horrifically to do that. But after we retired, I was talking to a professional and about things, and they said, "Well, why didn't you call me? I could have helped you. You should have given me a call. I'd have helped you." But I thought at the time, well, if you wanted to help me, why didn't you come and speak to me?
Oh, yeah, but that's totally unethical.
I know, but it's. But I would have.
Shame on you for thinking that.
But I would have wanted that as a coach, as a competitor, to think that there was someone out there that thought they really could help me and wanted to help me. I wish they had spoken to me.
Yeah, but how could you know?
Well, I know it's a difficult one, isn't
How
it?
could you know? I mean, because every professional, let's be honest, would have that thought, wouldn't they? Wouldn't you look at anybody that you're not involved with and think, well, maybe not all, but I mean, there's still quite a lot of them I look at and think, I think I could help you.
Yeah.
But they choose not to come to you, and then you have to respect that. They've made a decision. I mean, it's particularly today, because they can go online and see lectures that all of the top coaches are doing. So they would have a pretty good idea about what they would get from that person. Or they see, training camps is the sort of the latest phenomenon, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
which we didn't really have. So, you can go to a training camp for a guest lesson or a guest training camp, and then you see their personality, you see what their principles are and the way they deliver it. So then you can make a choice. Actually, I'm going to go for them and have a lesson with them because they look like they would be the right thing for me.
That works well though with the popular adjudicators and teachers, doesn't it? Of course, but people like myself who I quote, "Don't bother with him. He's just a social dance teacher." Then it's a bit harder for the likes of myself. And there's many other professionals like me who we've done all the training, we've done all the work, we've done all the lessons, and we just never got the results. Weren't in the right place at the right time.
But again, that's what I'm going to say. It comes back to that, doesn't it? I mean, I was lucky. And actually, I have to say, going back to the beginnings of my teaching career, one of the first couples I taught was a couple called Tom and Queenie Shuttler.
That's Mark Shuttler's dad, isn't it?
Mark Shuttler's mum and dad.
Yeah.
And they had a lesson every week, without fail, at Keith and Christine Burton's studio. And there was another couple, so they did Latin, and there was another couple called Stan and Vi Hicks who did Ballroom.
Right.
And they came every week, and they had lessons every week, and they were like my agents.
Right.
Because they were going out to a competition at the weekend, and because their results were getting better. So, because the seniors were talking about, who are you going to lesson? I go to that Graham Oswick.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like, it was like having an agent. I should have paid him really.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that those kind of things, and then you have a couple more, and then
it all spirals from there, doesn't it? Yeah. And then, of course, the proof is in the pudding. If these guys are getting better, then
of course, then
it proves that you're
put
doing
your money
the right
where
thing.
your mouth is.
Yeah. So outside of dancing, other than your committee work, let's take dancing out completely. What do you do? I mean, have you got time for anything else?
I love going to the theatre. I love that musical theatre. I love that. If I hadn't been in dancing, I would have probably gone down that route.
Right.
Love music. Well, I like theatre generally, but musical
voice?
theatre. Not bad.
Really?
Actually, because I did have singing lessons.
Oh, right. Okay.
A long time ago, and I had an operation on my throat.
Was that to perform better?
No.
Make you a tenor rather than a.
It was like, well, it turned out to be nothing, but anyway.
Yeah.
Luckily. So I had a surgery, and then I had to have speech therapy.
Oh wow, really? Is this when you were young? Or
I was
recent times?
As an adult.
Right.
And at the end of the speech therapy, because she was saying that you work in an environment where you're in a studio where you talk over the music and often the other side of the room, and so I had to learn not to do that.
Right.
And then she said to me, why don't you go and have singing lessons? Because that will just develop it even further. And so I went, and I had singing lessons. It turned out to be this opera singer who'd sang with some of the best people ever. And it was fabulous because it was just like dancing. It was like everything she did was, oh my God, it's like it was having a dancing lesson for your voice. So yeah, my voice is not bad. And I enjoy doing that.
We might need I might need a singer for our comp in April, so maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, perhaps I can call on you.
I don't think I'm quite up to Rachel's level.
Oh, no, she's immense.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Don't think.
Yeah. We could have some sort of dancers have got talent, couldn't we? And have a singing competition between the dancers. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Do you know, my one thing I would love to have done if I'd have ever had the balls was the X Factor.
Really?
Oh yeah. There were several years
to sing on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Several years. I even one year I even downloaded the form.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Is this common knowledge or is this like an exclusive?
I think it's fairly exclusive, I'd say. I mean, I can do it now because I've got no intention of doing it. But,
right. Okay.
But yeah, I really would love to have done it. But I thought, oh no, this is going to be so embarrassing because if I go out there and it's not good, or Simon says like, get off the stage.
That'd have been fun, wouldn't it? That'd
yeah,
fun.
But exactly for everybody else, but not for me.
Yeah.
So I never. That I'm not good at.
Right. What, being on stage?
No, yeah, actually.
So are you not good then showing off? That makes sense.
It depends.
It's a funny situation.
Yeah, yes and no. It was like at this weekend, this Naples Open, we were waiting for the results, and then the DJ, for some unknown reason, started to play Mariah Carey. So, and I suddenly felt this desire to get up and dance. Right. So I made everybody stand up in the room, and I got all the judges out on the floor, and we danced. And in fact, at Paul Gillies competition in October, there was a big problem with the team match, getting the team match together. So halfway through, they got to take a break. So Marcus, in his infinite wisdom, decides Graham and Brian, our afternoon chairman, come up and like dance. So Brian and his inimitable style headed straight to the bar, right away from it, and I ended up having to do this dance for the whole Tower Ballroom. Which, and in a way, I enjoyed it. It was funny. It was funny.
Because I would, if given a choice, I'd shy away from any social situation.
Yeah.
Any social situation.
Well, that's what Brian did. Yeah.
I do it for my job. I'm very happy to stand in front of 10,000 people, no problem doing my job.
And I guess that was,
and talk and that sort of thing. But if I go to a wedding, for instance, I've been for a long time actually, and they say, "Oh, you're a dancer, aren't you? Go on, do some." No, you're okay. I'll sit in the back.
Well, I think that's general. But for example, with the singing thing, because this singing teacher I had, I got through Elaine Gornell. Right. God rest her soul. Yep. We recently lost her. And she taught Tony and Elaine and Tanya, who's obviously super successful, and Darren, her husband. So I had lessons with her, and she was really good. And at one time, Elaine had a party, and if Elaine had a party, it was always karaoke. Right. Yeah. And I really, really wanted to get up and sing, but I couldn't. Right. And I hated myself for that. You idiot. I mean, who cares? I mean, because there were people getting up and singing, like always in karaoke, that were absolutely dire. Yeah. And I think, I'm not that bad. I mean, I'm not great, but I mean, I'm not that bad. Yeah. I just didn't have the balls to do it.
So what would you have sung on X Factor? What would have been your song?
Oh, I don't know, actually. Let me really. I have to sing people that are in it. I mean, weirdly, Shania Twain.
Really?
Yeah, she sings. All of her.
Don't impress me much.
Yeah, all of her songs are like Anne Murray, people like that, or in
your key. Yeah.
My key, I can sing it without. Carpenters. Most of that. Yeah, I mean,
I like a bit of Why Do Birds myself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I like a bit of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that I'm a big Shirley Bassey fan. And you know, several times I've been to see her in concert, and I think that feeling. I guess it's like, you know, when one of our couples retires at a major event, you know, the whole room starts, or then winning a major event or something. and then standing on a stage like with everybody crying when they sing a song, and think, oh, the feeling must be amazing. I think they go on tour doing concerts. I mean, the feeling must be incredible. So I was always kind of jealous of that. I always wanted that. But
so do you not get lonely though?
yeah, I think the lonely part of it is when you do, say, like I did this trip now, and Naples open, and it's been a buzz, and been there with Nina, Romano, and all those people, Carmen, Denise, and then you come back and you're trapped with it. Like there isn't anybody there to
talk to about it.
Yeah, to say, oh, I did this.
Yeah.
So I FaceTime my mum and she gets it.
Right. Yeah. You're very close to your mum, aren't you?
Yes.
She's 90.
94.
94.
Yeah. So with my brother, and she was with my brother. So yeah. So I FaceTime them more or less every day. I'm not drunk. No.
Nice. It's dancing does that, doesn't it? I suppose, to people, because there's many couples, of course, that dance together, but then don't end up together. And so by the end of their career, they turn like 40, 42, whatever, and they're on their own. And they've dedicated their life to dancing, and then it's almost too late to start up a family and that sort of thing as well.
And I think also
happens a lot, doesn't it?
Well, probably before my time. I mean, when you were in a couple, everybody persuaded them to be together.
Right.
Like, you won't be successful if you don't get married.
I see. Oh, really? I didn't know that, actually.
There was a lot of...
Oh, right. That's not a good thing, is it?
There was a lot that went on in that generation.
Yeah, and of course then, I suppose, certain situations happen where people get married that wouldn't necessarily get married to that sex.
Exactly. That happened a lot, didn't it? I mean, or just get married to somebody that you're not actually in love with.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, maybe they grew, in some cases they maybe grew to love them. Because that often is almost like an arranged marriage, isn't it? The dancer's version of an arranged marriage. I suppose. But, I mean, it's...
There's a lot of couples now, though, aren't there, that aren't actually together?
Yeah, because I think it became an acceptable norm, didn't it? That's why. I mean, it was in that time. It was, you probably won't win if you're not a couple, because you were supposed to be committed to each other. That's how other people would see it, wouldn't they? So I think now it really doesn't matter at all.
No. Well, no, it shouldn't matter. It should never have mattered, though, should it? Really?
No, but I mean, it was a different time then.
Well, of course.
I mean, that was a whole other gambit then, wasn't it? I mean, now it doesn't actually matter at all.
No, here's a question that I can't quite understand. In the 90s and 2000s, pretty much the whole of the Latin final, all of the fellas were gay, weren't they?
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them. And now, that I'm aware of, none of them are. What's happened? What's happened to all the top gay male Latin dancers? Where have they all gone?
Well, it's like, I mean, I guess it's all things, isn't it? I mean, where you had a whole batch of amazing men, but the girls weren't as good, and then the girls were great, and the boys weren't good, and then some of them again, some of them are not. Some of them are married, they're couples. Some of them don't speak to each other, but dance together. I mean, it's just, it's just
cyclical.
wave. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
They're going to come back.
Waves, doesn't it? Cyclical.
Yeah, they're going to come back with a vengeance.
But it would just be a chance situation, won't it? I mean, I don't think there was any moons that aligned that made that happen. It just happened, didn't it? I mean,
it's quite interesting. I mean, if you look at it, the whole final, all of them. But they didn't dance that way. Let's put it that way. They didn't dance.
Oh, no.
They all danced very masculine.
But I think that's what we've come to understand now, isn't it? That somebody's sexuality makes no bearing on how they dance, and in fact, you can have, well, a straight man who dances really feminine, and then they couldn't be more straight as a character.
Yeah.
I think cyclical is probably the best way of describing it.
I quite like to camp it up when I dance Latin.
Yeah, funny, but I can imagine that.
Yeah, I quite like it. And interestingly enough, you didn't seem to get that many gay ballroom dancers, as such, or out there.
They just all stayed in the closet.
They, I suppose they stiff collar and all that.
I was going to say that. As well. As well,
yeah. Stiff collar as well. What made you choose Latin over ballroom?
It didn't, it chose me.
Did it, right?
Originally, because the school I came from was obviously ballroom. So I was in my early junior days. I was very much a ballroom dancer. I wasn't. We did both, but I mean, because everybody did both in those times.
Yeah.
But I guess if it had been now, I would have probably ended up in ballroom.
Really?
Because I was much more successful as a ballroom dancer.
Right. Okay.
And then at that time, when we danced as juniors at the Albert Hall for the international, but you had to choose one or the other. You couldn't do both. So we decided that the ballroom was pretty top heavy at that time, probably for all those reasons too. And so we thought, oh well, let's do the Latin, because I don't think we'll make the ballroom final.
Right.
We probably won't make the Latin final either, but there seems to be less doing it. So actually then we made the final and came third. So it was kind of a bit of a shock. And from that point, really, I was the red-haired Latin dancer. And then the following year we won it.
Okay. Who was that with?
Debbie Brewster.
Debbie Brewster. Don't know her. No. She doesn't dance anymore.
Well, she, funnily enough, which says kind of what the level was then, that the following year she danced went into amateur, because she was a year younger than me. She danced with a guy called Robert Hawkins and won the ballroom the following year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
right. No relation to Christopher?
No.
No.
Well, not that I'm aware of, but
no.
I'm sure hereditary, possibly, but
yeah, maybe. So, would you say you're the most famous redhead? Not anymore, perhaps.
No. Neil Jones, isn't he?
You think Neil Jones is the most famous redhead?
My son, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what everybody thought. That's
Did
what
they
he calls me,
genuinely
Dad.
think? Did they genuinely think you were his son?
Well,
no, sorry, he was your son.
Yeah, I think. Well, because there's a story. I mean, going back to me when we used to have this congress.
I think it's so funny for someone to think that Niels is your son if they know who you are, if they know you as a person. Anyway, sorry.
But we used to have the congress used to be in Slagharen. And they used to run a summer congress. So it was always Len Goodman did the sort of more social stuff. I did the middle stuff, and Alan and Hazel did the more advanced.
Yep.
So it was my first time.
Go right here or straight?
Yes, go right. When it was my first time to go there, and I can't remember why it all started, but and Alan and Hazel had been on just before me. So I said, oh, I'm very nervous coming here to do that, because it was huge. Their congress was huge. It was all the social teachers in the whole country were there. It was huge. Quite an honor. Quite an honor. Yeah, it was quite an honor to get asked to do something like that. Yeah. As a little ship from England, and so I, it's an honor here. And I said, apart from being really nervous because my mum and dad are here watching, Alan and Hazel Fletcher, and from then there were so many people like, is that really your dad? Is that really your mum and dad? Yeah. And to this day, I still send them cards, Mum, from your heir apparent. Right. Don't forget that when you write your will, let me know. Yeah. Go that way. Yeah. And Mother's Day cards. It was funny how that. And then Neil started calling me Dad. Right. In lessons. Yeah.
Well, that's quite a dancing image, isn't it?
It wasn't that way.
Alan and Hazel, you, and then Neil.
Yeah, and I'm sure he probably got the same thing. Is he really your dad?
Yeah. Because he was in Holland as well, actually. Wasn't there at the time, I guess?
Yeah, he danced with a Dutch girl, didn't he? He speaks fluent Dutch.
Does he?
I don't know if he still does, but he did speak fluent Dutch.
Not sure there's a lot of call for it now, is there?
It's not, no.
No.
I doubt.
He could have done Dancing with the Stars in Holland, though, couldn't he? I suppose that would be quite handy. Yeah. What do you think of Strictly as a show?
Well, funny enough, I went for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Really? Is that the first time ever?
Yeah.
Wow. So nearly 20 years it's been running.
My mum and brother have been, I think, twice.
Right.
I got them tickets a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why, I just never felt the desire to go. Don't ask me why. And then we were at the National Championships, and Amy Dowden, bless her, said, you have to come. You have to come. I said, okay, I'll have a look in the diary and see if I can do it. And as it happened, I could do I think it was the following Saturday.
Yeah.
So I went, Denise Weaver and I went together. So it was actually lovely. I mean, they were, and because Amy's had all these problems of late, God love her, she gets gold passes for her guests.
Right.
So we could go to the green room.
Oh,
and we didn't have to do security or anything.
Yeah.
So we got super as well as being there. But it is amazing. I mean, how they change those sets so quickly, you know, because it's a live show. You almost forget it's live. So when they're taking the couples after they've danced up to to Claudia's part, the Clauditorium they call it.
Clauditorium.
Then they have to change the set ready for the next one. It was, and being down there while you were, it's fascinating. Absolutely.
I've been a couple of times, but I went quite a long time ago now, and it wasn't quite as elaborate.
Yeah, I mean,
you are squashed in. I don't know.
It's grown hugely, isn't it? I mean,
and I just got to go to the green room and everything as well. But I know they've changed that now, haven't they? So that's not everyone gets that opportunity anymore.
Apparently, and it was because the day we went, the Princess of Wales had been there in the afternoon to visit. So Amy was very made up because she'd actually asked to see her.
Oh, really? That way.
She'd actually asked to meet her because she'd written to her apparently a month ago.
Right. Because
she's raised awareness of the breast cancer situation, so she actually asked to see her. She had 2 of the children with her, Louis and Charlotte, over there as well. So they were all very excited.
She's doing all right, isn't she, Amy? She's still putting a brave face on and turning up and doing things.
Yes, she's. And the week before we went, she'd also been in hospital again because she had a blood clot. Yes. And then they were worried that and she said that she was going off to a hospital, because Ben had insisted her other half husband. But and she showed me the photograph because she's doing this documentary of her journey, and I mean, what Ben must have thought when she showed me the pictures and videos of her going into the ambulance. I mean, I'm sure Ben must have thought, this is it.
Right.
I mean, she is. I mean, no words can say what an inspiration she is anyway, but to anybody that's had any kind of that kind of trauma in their life. And then in fact, that night, she was the one looking after us. I mean, she was amazing. I mean, you would never know. She got a lovely wig on.
Yeah.
She's running around making sure we're okay. I mean, it's laughable, really. But there was a lady that was sitting on our row, and she came to speak to us. She said, "I'm really sorry to interrupt you because I can see that you're friends and everything, but I just want to say, I've just had not a great diagnosis, and I'm just about to start my therapy. And what an inspiration you are to me, and how I'm gonna try and do what you've done." And it was, and I said to Amy afterwards, if she was the only person you'd inspired, what you've done has been worth it, hasn't it? To put it out there. And there must be probably hundreds, maybe thousands.
Well, you think that there's millions of people that watch the show, of course, isn't there? So, she's going to have touched many. I mean, what an inspiration. And she was never that one to sort of complain about anything. She's always been very light as a person. But, I mean, wow. I mean, she said she has bad days, obviously, because chemotherapy is... And they gave her quite a lot of dosage because they wanted to make sure no cells had escaped into anything else. So, I mean, she's really been through it. And then to have that blood clot, just like, I did that the week before. Now she's back there and then she broke her foot, of course. Yes,
so she's in a boot.
I know. So she's going through it.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. I mean, inspirational beyond belief, really. Beyond belief.
So you've been through it a little bit as well, haven't you, recently? But nothing like what...
oh, no, nothing like that.
You've had some issues with your eyes, haven't you?
Well, it's just, I presume it's an age thing, you know what I mean?
Do you think they're going to help you to judge better if they fix it?
No, but my vision never actually changed. I'm happy to say so. But I guess you are aware of the fact. I mean, we laugh about it, but when you meet up with your friends, one of the topics now is your ailments.
Right.
Discussing your ailments.
Yeah.
Like, well, what have you had this? Where have you done this month?
What are you doing with yourself?
What
then?
hospital appointments have you had this
Yeah,
month?
what are you doing with yourself to keep yourself in good shape then and look after yourself? Oh, or are you? Or are you not looking after
How can
yourself?
you look at this?
Well, I don't know.
Hello, my body is a temple.
I don't know. It's well covered today. It's chilly today, isn't it?
No, actually, I'm not too bad at the moment. At home, I have a bike and a rowing machine, and I've got much better at that now.
Right.
It's like all those things. Is once you start doing it, it's easier to keep doing it. Although I hate every form of exercise.
Right.
And
Okay.
it's about time they invented a tablet for that, really. But
Yeah.
I think.
So, what do you take any vitamins or minerals, extras, and that sort of
No.
thing? Perhaps you should think about that. Be good for you. There's so much good stuff out there.
I do actually. What I do, which Carmen got me into, was have a cold shower every day.
Ah, I do that every day. I've done it since March.
Yeah,
I actually had 2 today. I had 2 cold showers today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Why would you do
I had a
that?
freezing cold shower when I woke up, and then I did my training. I exercised trained 5 days a week. Trained and then outside when it's dark still, pretty much, and then came in and had a freezing cold shower after that.
Lovely.
Very good.
I do the proper shower first, and then I do the freezing thing at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
it's really good for you. It's
And I do drink. I mean, I drink at home now. I drink like 2 litres of water a day. And it's difficult when you're away because you're judging. You don't want to have to go to the toilet all the time.
yeah.
And teaching. But when I'm here, I do it religiously. I have my 2 litre bottle.
There's lots of nutrients that the body stops keeping hold of as you get older as well. So there's so many things you should put back into your body. You don't necessarily get. I'll talk about it off camera with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I take good care of my skin and things like that, but I don't do that.
I use soursop oil.
Soursop, what the hell is that?
It's a South American fruit.
Oh, no.
It's a bit of a hidden gem, and it's great for all sorts of not skin complaints if you have them, but it's really good for your skin. And I take that every day. I'm quite oily. Oily, what am I talking about? It's a little bit.
Quite oily.
No, I didn't mean that. I mean, I'm quite. My skin's quite good and stuff like that. I'm looking pretty good for 29, I think.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah. But the exercising every day is very helpful.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, 5 days a week.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I feel better when I hate doing it, but I know I feel better when I've done it. And they say, you don't really need to do that much. I mean, I know Cara, for example, she's on this. She's a personal trainer.
Yep.
I mean, she's 10 years younger than me, and she looks absolutely incredible. I mean, incredible. 2 grown-up children. I mean, she looks incredible. But she does this fitness, and her thing is all based on this like 15 or 20-minute sessions. You actually don't need to do much more than that.
Yeah. I did 25 minutes this morning.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's why I do the 15 minutes on the bike, 10 minutes on the machine. Now.
I'm fitter now, stronger, and lighter and thinner than when I competed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, all my clothes are too big, everything's ridiculous.
Yeah, I have lost weight, but not enough yet. I mean, I need to.
I don't eat during the day as well, actually, typically.
I think I would like to try the intermittent fasting. I don't know if I could do it though, because I do like breakfast and go home.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure if we're going straight or right. Yeah, you like it. You're a breakfast boy. You like that?
I do like breakfast. Although I do wonder whether if I did the fasting, so like 14 hours or something, so from the last meal to the next one. I think I could probably do it.
I just have a protein shake most mornings.
No, you couldn't do that if you were fasting.
Well, I fast during the middle of the day. I don't fast in that way. I don't do 14 hours, but I do a big section during the middle of the day where I don't typically eat. So I have that. I won't eat again now until tonight. They do say that it's good
for you, don't they? For your body to be able to renew its cells and.
The Kelly's gone full on with it all, and she's done a 2-week fast with no food.
That I don't think is healthy.
Yeah, it regenerates all your body cells.
See, I can't believe is healthy.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe how the benefits you get from that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Amazing.
The fad thing, if I do it, I've got to do something which is
twice a year. That's it. Twice a year.
Yeah,
it's only twice a year.
I can't believe that's good for you.
Yeah, it is. You have water. You don't have nothing.
But water is kind of nothing. That's just like lubing you up from the inside. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, no. I mean, for me, it's got to be something that's a lifestyle that I can do always.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be on a diet.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, because diets don't work.
I'm too old to be on a
diets
diet.
don't work. It has to be lifestyle. So we're like that now. We have a different lifestyle.
Not unless they invent a chocolate diet.
Oh,
and then I'll be alright.
Well, I still eat chocolate.
Also do I.
Do it.
Believe me. Oh yeah.
I had some last night, in fact.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
I bought a whole lot of chocolate at the airport yesterday for Christmas.
Right.
Well, allegedly. I mean, that's.
Oh, it won't make it, will it?
I sold
You'll
it
be
to
buying some
myself
more.
on that basis.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I'm gonna try. Very strange.
Where are you going for Christmas?
We stay home because my mum and my brother come to me,
Right.
and then we meet David and Denise and Richard and Pam, and we go out to a lunch to Kingswood Golf Club.
Nice.
which we've been
For
doing
Christmas
for
dinner.
years, yeah, and then we go back to David and Denise's house
Lovely.
and play stupid games.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. It's like, in me, I'd rather go to the Caribbean.
Would you?
I'm not really. I'm a bit of a bar humbug.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a bar humbug.
I'm a little
My
bit, but
mum's the same.
with my daughter, it's a bit different.
Yeah, definitely.
But,
When you have children.
yeah, last year we went to Lapland, which was
Oh no.
amazing. I've just missed it.
No, yeah,
No,
next one.
next one. Amazing.
I don't know. Years ago, I went down to a hotel in Margate and did children's entertainment for.
Did you?
I did that 2 years running. Yeah, I mean
Oh,
that
that's nice.
because for me, Christmas is about children.
Mm.
And actually, I mean,
So you're a big child, though, aren't you?
very,
Yeah.
very in every way now. You know, I mean, when we between us, all our group, we decided not to buy presents. That was the best thing we ever did.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my god, that was such a hassle relief.
I don't believe in the present stuff at Christmas now
It
either.
was such a
It's
hassle
nonsense.
relief. That was really nice not having to do that anymore.
Yeah. We're going to Australia for Christmas this year.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. Do you want to?
Wow.
I've got a 6-bedroom house. Do you want
I don't think my
Pop
mum.
over?
I don't think
No.
my mum would appreciate it
to?
somehow.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Somehow.
That'd be nice.
I think that would go down well.
Yeah. Ella's not. Ella's never been to Australia, and I've never met Kelly's brother.
I've never been to Australia.
I've been, obviously we've been a few times, but yeah, so it's going to be really nice to meet her brother and stuff, and her brother's
Cool.
daughter as well.
Nice.
Nice.
That sounds nice. Away
Go on
from
Monday.
this weather. Oh,
Go on Monday.
jealous.
I'm sorry.
Well, gel.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well,
Sorry. I'll
gel.
send you some pictures. That'll
Thanks.
make it feel better, won't it?
Yeah, so much better.
Well, thank you very much for being a dancer in my car, Graham.
Pleasure.
I hope it's worked.
Yeah,
I'm sure it
so do
has. I know
I'm
it's
going to
worked.
knife you through the head.
I know it
otherwise
has
it
worked. I
hasn't.
can see it's still recording. Still recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll be on the mortality figures
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah. Well. Thank you very much.